We are live on Facebook. This is our, okay, a call to order here. All right, guys. We're feeling kind of frisky today, apparently. We're live on Facebook. Have a seat. Sorry? That's it. All right. Anyway, we're going to get started here. It's Alderman's sister-in-law's birthday, which we can all, enjoy here. So we've got a weekend coming up. We have our work session in preparation for our regular session, recess session of Tuesday, June the 15th. So we were supposed to have Judge Quarles with us this morning, and I tried to get up with her to verify and have been unable to do so. So we will skip over that part, and as we start our way through this, we have Mr. Sparks with Sports Facility Management with us today. And this is on our agenda, and so what I wanted to do is give the board an opportunity to, perhaps who haven't met with him or haven't seen him, to hear from him if he has anything in particular you'd like to share, like economic impact we were talking about. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to do that at this point if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay.
So we gave some numbers out last week when we came down for the kickoff and revised pre-opening budget / pro forma and a stub year and a full year budget. And so on those, we were a little bit remiss in that in the high-low model you saw during early on presentations, we gave you a high estimation of what the economic impact would bring to the community area, and then what would that mean to you as an incremental tax revenue based on how you're structured for taxation. And so I took that to the numbers that you have seen now. We're estimating that you will pull, assuming we make our numbers, okay, which we're very confident we will, a tax generation to the community or to the city of about $570,000 annually in a full year. And then that's first year. And then in the stub year, we would have somewhere between $170,000 and $190,000 of incremental tax revenue to the community. Now that's direct impact dollars, so the hotel motelers and indirect, as well as food and beverage and things of that nature in the community, would see in the range of about $13 million overall in the region. So we broke that $13 million down to what you see in your tax revenue, and that comes out to $570,000.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And we'll, as we go through the agenda, which we will here, that is going to be on the agenda, so there may be some questions generated from that as we get through it. And if Judge Quarles happens to show up, Chief, would you trip her and get her in here? So, and she was going to discuss juvenile curfew, because that's on our agenda for us to take up this next board meeting to just decide one way or the other. And I can say that the county did approve a curfew at their last meeting, so they do have one, and it does follow the midnight to 5 o'clock timeline. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and go, if there's nothing else from the board. Let me do this. Our alderman-elect, who will be taking office on July the 6th, Mike Brooks, is with us here today.
That's mighty big shoes to fill.
It's true. And I would have put up a picture of Jeffrey Rupp. He sent me one of him on the coast at the beach. So I'm starting to say I'll put that up there. But anyway, this is our last work session for Alderman Walker and Alderman Little, and quite publicly we thank your service. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. 8 years of good work, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much. All right, and one last meeting for y'all to vote yay or nay about something on. So
before we move off the tax thing, may I ask a question? Of course. Sir, do you in your analysis, how much of the tax? And I don't know what you may have this handy not. How much of our tax that additional sales tax revenue that we generate off the park would be general sales tax that comes through that 7% diversion versus the hospitality tax? Because is it the 1% tax or the tax we generate in hospitality have designated stuff they have to go to, the diversion 8.5% of 7% sales tax goes into our general operating budget.
So the way we broke down our combined, it comes to $17 million in tax revenue for baseball and potentially soccer, okay, in the tournament world. And so we broke it down to your new sales tax of 2% is going to yield you about $351,000. and I can forward this to you all. Your new hotel motel tax of 2% will generate about $98,500, and your food and beverage tax would generate $119,635 for a $570,024 total.
And may I jump in? So that's your close to 500 number there?
Yes, ma'am.
If the additional sales in the city is 17 million, give me 1 second to do some arithmetic, that would also generate $220,000
That's what I'm at.
of general
So your
sales
gross
tax.
sales, gross sales impact $70 million.
Okay.
And we get 18.5% of Mississippi sales tax, which is almost 1.3 cents. That's what our local sales
Okay.
tax is.
Okay.
And so we get that right off the base, and then it's also stacked on top of it. I just didn't know how much that, because that's unallocated. That goes into our general pot.
Streets
The
and
streets and
ditches.
police and fire and stuff versus, that's all carved up in how we allocate the money. So
Okay.
that's uncalled for, unallocated money. So that's what I want to know. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's great to know. And then on the cap to that is estimated room nights to your hotel motelers are about 27,100.
Wow. Thank you.
And hopefully somebody will be building some new hotels to go with it,
Yes, ma'am.
be part of the goal.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, absolutely. And if any other questions come around,
Well, I do have one question, and it's a softball question,
Okay.
literally, not softball, but an easy question. Would you talk about how many jobs y'all are gonna create, as part of this management contract, full-time and part-time?
So we'll have a full-time staff of, currently, projecting today of 6 management level full-time staff, with an overall salary range of probably $330,000 to $370,000 of combined salaries. Those are full-time benefits eligible employees through SFM that would be here on site. And then we will hire somewhere between 45 and 65 part-time people. It's seasonal. And their hourly rate ranges, it's market value, but based on today's economics, we haven't gone less than $9 an hour for any employee part-time, and it usually ranges somewhere between 10 and 12.
And those part-time employees can be any age that's employment eligible, so
Yes, ma'am.
upper high school, college, retirees, whomever.
We try to pull as old of a teenager as possible, but I mean, if they have a work permit or they're eligible to work, we can work them around school requirements and labor requirements and things of that nature. I have employees within my venues that are as young as 16. We typically draw the majority of our folks from junior, senior high school level to your college kids that are home for the summer and your freshman, sophomore years type of student.
Thank you.
okay? All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and go into the agenda, please. We've got a couple of sets of minutes. I know, Chris, you said one set needed to be pulled, the 18th.
Well, we're still working on those. If the board could give us grace to get those done by Tuesday. I know Lisa's hands were full much of this week with the election, and those minutes relate to the first curfew public hearing and all of those Brooksville Gardens buildings, so they're detailed and rugged, so we need to work on those more. So leave those off consent, but if you could leave them on the agenda, we'll get them in by Tuesday.
You comfortable
Yeah,
with that?
I'm complete, they're in his hands now.
Oh,
He's
okay,
approved
all
it.
right,
Yes,
okay.
it's
So
not
I
too
just
much.
want to make sure that she's done what she needs.
Yeah, we talked about it
Okay,
last
all
night.
right, then
Yeah.
we'll be happy to leave them on. And obviously, Mayor's comments, I will be saying nice things about Alderman Little and Alderman Walker as part of a going away. And I, at this point, don't know of anything else unless someone has something else they want to put on there. We will also be able to, I think, at that point, announce the numbers and winners, because the final numbers of the election will be that afternoon at 1:30, is that
Right,
correct?
The certification.
The
meeting is at
certification of
1:30
the
Tuesday.
election, so we'll be able to also offer that information, so we'll do that too. If Lisa will be kind enough to give me those numbers.
We'll share.
Okay, cool. We don't have any public appearances. We do have the third public hearing, and again, that is the consideration of this ordinance for the juvenile curfew and truancy. The county passed theirs this past Monday. And Chief, have you had the meetings from a process standpoint that was something that will make you comfortable?
Right now, Mayor, until we can finalize, obviously, there's going to be some potential contracts going on with some of our entities that we're looking at, the child has picked up, so we're prepared for support staff to help us maintain that line until we can do, advance those discussions. We don't anticipate, again, that this to be very common of an issue, perhaps at most 2 or 3 times a year in those situations where we can't find a guardian for a child. So we're prepared internally for support staff, specifically some of our mothers that are, are ready to come in and have a softer approach with the child until we can get up to daylight hours and allow for spendings to take place.
Okay, all right, thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
And just to circle back with everyone, I have not heard back from Columbus or actually Lowndes County yet for their juvenile facility. Their judge and their president of their board of supervisors has said they will visit and come back to us with the opportunity or option of utilizing some of their space on an annualized basis. But I haven't heard back from them. They're visiting about that, and I'll give them a little time to do that, and then I'll circle back to them in the next couple of weeks and see where they are. So, just to round that topic all the way out. Any questions or anything about that? This will be the third public hearing and then consideration. So,
And then the language is in proposed final form.
yes,
Correct.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's the 12 to 5.
Yeah,
midnight
and
5.
the diligent inquiry by the police officers and the emergency exception added.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
May I back up a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Talk about the election. What's a lot of people don't know what's holding up why they had.
Well,
Talk about the election a little bit.
Okay, sure. And I'm not the expert on that, but what we've got is we've got 5 outstanding absentee ballots, or 6?
There's 6.
6. We've got 6 outstanding absentee ballots that had to be postmarked by the 7th, 8th, by the 8th, thank you. See, I knew I'd get this wrong. Had to be postmarked by the 8th and have to be received by 5 days later, right? 5 business days later. So on Tuesday, they will certify the election because they'll have all those absentee ballots, the 6 that are out, will either have come in or not come in and be counted. So that's why the certification is going to be that 5 days afterwards, because you wait on those absentee ballots to come back in through the mail. So not that I wish to be disparaging of the post office, but who knows these days.
And that is a new state law, and I guess they're recognizing the postal service but these are for the most part, permanently disabled ballots that were mailed.
Right.
And they just have not come back yet.
And
that's in Ward 1. There are some out there in all
There you go.
wards.
So the count could change in my ward, for instance, if another ballot came in.
But
It
they're
could
not
change
enough-
in all wards.
Yeah,
Right.
there are not enough ballots out there right now, except for Ward 1, that might make a difference, so.
Yeah, I just, for the public, say, I already knew.
Absolutely.
Oh, sure, no, absolutely,
They call
absolutely,
me
yeah,
asking
thank
for
you,
it.
thank you, because I often overlooked kind of information, so yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. So under mayor's business, we've got the license agreement, which is the license for the SFM to use for other tournament directors, et cetera, for Cornerstone. So this will be like, the same thing that our current parks does, is just through SFM. Is
Mayor,
that,
I'd move consent for both items 1 and 2.
well, okay, anybody, any objections on that? I like it, but any objections on that, 1 and 2? All right, good. Thank you, Alderman Walker. The gift is you're going out the door. And Lisa, we need to change the lettering on the management on the second, on number 2. So the second one is the pro forma pre-opening agreement, which is the budget, which we've just talked about. So, all right, thank you. The next one is consideration of the resolution as it relates to the Triangle Crossing now. Castle is going to assign to, who is this? To Triangle Crossing LLC?
That's
For-
right. You go, I'm sorry.
No, you're the one that's been working on it, but for the Guerin project. So, Chris, you've been doing the legal work on this.
Yeah, so this is an assignment agreement which can be done under the TIF documents, and Mark Castleberry wants to assign his interest to another corporate entity, Triangle Crossing LLC, which he will also have a part in. He just won't be going solo like he is right now with his own corporate entity. And we've asked him to come Tuesday night just to explain who the new entity will be, who he's partnering with, to give you guys an assurance or not an assurance to do the assignment. The assignment's discretionary. You can do it or not do it, but the law certainly doesn't preclude you from doing it if you think it's a good deal.
Okay. And it's in italics for a reason? Or is that Lisa, was that
I got that from the lawyers, I believe
Okay.
that's because that's the name
All right,
of the
Mr. Attorney, is there a
document.
reason it's in italics?
Yeah, we copied and pasted the heading of the document, and the
Okay.
heading of the document had that language in italics, so that's just
Okay.
a straight up copy and paste.
Okay, well, at least let's just go ahead and put it in regular font, please, or not italics, so.
So nothing changes as far as the underlying financial information?
Pledge, money, all of that's the same.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Do we feel confident with the backing of this group?
And that's why Castleberry's speaking Tuesday, because I don't know him.
Yep.
And he's gonna get his chance to make the case that, hey, this is a good entity, we're gonna carry out what we say we're gonna do.
Thank you.
All right, we can leave that one off and allow Mr.
Leave that
Castleberry
off.
to provide us that information, yes. And then discussion of consideration to ban bird scooters, and Mr. Little, Alderman Little, is bringing this forward, and so I will allow you
Sure.
to provide your
We spoke
concerns.
The last meeting pretty much at length about them, and since then, over the past couple of weeks, I've continued to see them just in random places, just located, blocking, impeding traffic, pedestrian traffic on sidewalks. I've seen them ridden down sidewalks. My wife and I were coming the other evening, and there were like 6 of them coming out, so we're taking a right turn in the middle of the evening. I'm like, wait, stop, both lanes, just joyriding, I guess you'd call it. But I think they're an accident waiting to happen. I think they impede pedestrian flow. I think there's some benefits to them, but I mean, a quick Google, anybody can Google, I Googled this morning just to see worldwide, where there's been multiple accidents, there's been fatalities. They're plaintiff's attorney's dream. I think it's a matter of time that someone's going to get injured on these things. There's no helmet requirement. They just pop on them, and they move pretty fast. And you leave the Cotton District, I saw one the other night. They were riding down the sidewalks, and I saw one following the bike lane. But you get into the downtown area, you don't have a protected area. You're riding behind you're in the street riding behind vehicles that are backing out of the parking spaces. As you're backing, that's hard enough to see anyway. But I just think it's something we need to look closer at and have some, more discussion too.
Okay, well, and for discussion purposes, I mean, and I certainly understand where you're coming from. I do think that, I've had email conversations with Mr. Adam Blau, I hope it's how you pronounce his name, and I forwarded those to you yesterday, and then I forwarded them to the rest of the board this morning, just because I didn't want to have information out there that wasn't shared by everybody. And I do think they're trying, because they geo-fenced off Highway 12, and the scooters only go, I say only, if you get thrown off at 15 miles per hour, you're still thrown off at 15 miles per hour, but they're 15 miles per hour is what they're capped at. And I personally would like to put them on a short leash, but give them a little more time to see if they can't do what we need them to do. And a lot of it has to do with the kids who are using them. The kids it's just like anything else. They threw the bikes down anywhere when they got off of them, and they're throwing the scooters down anywhere when they leave them somewhere. But I do think that they are certainly of some measure of concern, but I really think they also serve, I see a whole lot of kids on them. I see people using for travel as well as using them for fun, and I kind of like fun myself, so I understand, I really do. It's a hard call, and somebody is probably going to get hurt, but everybody gets hurt doing something. I mean, I've been to the hospital any number of times with a broken limb or this, that, and the other. It's kind of a different day, so I'm not trying to make light of people getting hurt.
Well, I know, I see it every day in my line of work, trust me.
Sure. But anyway.
And from the policing standpoint, I think we're loading one more thing onto an already overloaded police staff, understaffed, underpaid, underappreciated.
Nuh-uh, they're not underappreciated.
Well, by
We
a
love
lot
them.
of folks, by a lot of folks. And what they've been going through the last few months, seems like a monthly shooting or something, or weekly there lately. I don't think they have time to police something like this. And if he speaks freely, I think he would agree on that matter. So.
All right, well, we can talk about it again on.
Mayor, I think you say principally being used to play with, and not being used for transportation from point A to point B. Not, maybe in rare circumstances, this is a new play toy for 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. The judgment is not there.
Which is not conducive after they've been alcohol impaired down the Cotton
And they are
District.
getting
It's
on
an
that,
accident
and-
waiting to happen.
And you don't
And
write
I just wanna be
DUI
on
schools, do you, chief? I mean, you can't write what, you gotta get public drunk, but not what.
I want to be on record that I oppose them, because I don't want to have that conversation.
It's
Somebody's
gonna,
parent down
something
the
bad
road.
gonna happen, and we're gonna think back, if we have an opportunity to handle this before it comes. You know, I think it's just a recipe, this thing's set up for something bad to happen. I mean, anyway, that's.
You wanna weigh in?
I will weigh in and say that I'm of the opinion that there are some changes that need to be made. I am a more measured response type person, so I would like for us to outline things that we want them to do, improve the lighting on the bikes so that they're more visible at night, regulate that upper end speed, those kinds of things, geofence areas that need to be geofenced, and keep them on a very short leash about accomplishing those things. This all feels very similar to some other changes that have happened in the city where the argument was going to be that if we did this, people would be killed on Sunday afternoon while picking up ice cream after somebody else was out having a beverage at lunch on Sunday. So there is a range there. Absolutely, somebody can get hurt, but every day we get up and get out of bed, our lives are filled with danger. So,
I appreciate it. Just to do a quick Google search and just look at all the actions
Yeah.
involved.
Cars,
This is not a
whatever.
new issue with our municipality. It's an
Yeah.
international issue.
Well,
Yeah.
Cities worldwide have been
And when
having this very conversation.
you get on a bicycle, see a stop, you put a helmet, or you know, you get a ticket for not wearing a helmet. These things have no helmet requirement, right? But we have a thing on the books, you're supposed to wear a helmet on a bicycle, and there's no helmet requirement on this.
we can modify our
And
helmet.
these things-
We can modify our helmet requirement.
I mean, I don't know, but I think inherently these things are not, there's no way it can be a stable bicycle. They're not. And just the way you're out on something, the weight over the front and stuff. I mean, they're just, you imagine somebody going down the road, somebody on Highway 12 the other night, our fastest things would go 15 miles an hour, something on Highway 12.
Well, they geofenced off Highway 12, so they shouldn't be able to get on it any longer, so.
But you get them.
Alderman Vaughn?
I know at the last board meeting, we said we're gonna put some teeth in it, you know, I'm like you, you know, they use them for a different reason, and like when I was sitting out there waiting on you all to come Tuesday night, you know, I see students out there, they ride up and down, you know, they're having fun, you know, and they just got to, you know, we just got to give them some stipulation, what they got to do and how they got to do it. When it stops, you just get it off the sidewalk, lay it over to the side instead of just leaving it on the sidewalk. We got to give them some guidelines to go by. And you know, I'm trying for a while. I'm okay for trying for a while. If we give them some guidelines, put some teeth in it, a little bite too.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, well, we'll have it as a discussion. I'm sorry, Alderman Walker, I apologize.
No,
I already got you out the door, don't I?
No, I think there's certainly merit in Alderman Little's proposal. I think there's going to be major cities that have gone both directions, have allowed them and then not allowed them for the same types of reasons that we're discussing here, and I think all of those are valid. I do think that what it leads to is one of the points is the new bike and pedestrian master plan that was recently adopted. The idea of having buffered lanes for both bicycle, because it's just as unsafe for a bicycle to drive down Main Street as it is for a scooter, because you're still in the street. Cars can't see a bike either. So anywhere where there's a shared use path is going to be a little bit safer of a way to navigate. You know, I think, you know, an option that hadn't been discussed is if, you know, one might be that at come dusk time, these get turned off.
Absolutely.
That there's no nighttime
Absolutely.
riding. Maybe it's only a daytime solution. That may make it where Bird decides that it's not a viable option for them. I have no idea. But I do think that is a potential option that, you know, would cut off a big percentage of folks in riding and eliminate the headlight situation and other things. But listen, I agree. I think somebody is going to get hurt, and potentially there's going to be a fatality. We saw just the other night a gentleman walking down the street and got hit by a car and killed. So pedestrian fatalities are on the rise, whether you're walking or biking or you're going to be on a scooter. And that should be something that the city tries to address. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to have good, safe, buffered places for people to have multiple modes of transportation. And I think that's a long-term city goal that's not going to be accomplished in any one year, any one term. But looking at those higher impact areas is a good place to start. So.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, well, we will have this discussion again on Tuesday, so. And I will get in touch with them again, and I'll go back and revisit my emails, but the last time when I did contact him, he has a local contact in town who has given me his number. Because one of the things I complained about is when they were staging them in places on sidewalks, which is not, it impedes the sidewalk. So I said, stage them somewhere, they're off the sidewalk so that they're not being, contributing to our inability to get our pedestrians around town. So anyway, we'll continue to have that. All right. Under airport, we've got 2 items, which is, I can't even try to pronounce that. One Ingenious Durafon phone system. So, and this is all to be purchased with grant money and with grant money as opposed to the CARES money, but with grant money. So consent for those 2? All right, thank you. Discussion, consideration of special event request for the Bulldog Bash. Yes. And that is, yes, it is back, and that's a wonderful thing. So they're going to be holding this on an off weekend, so it's not going to be a ball game weekend. But it's going to be a ball game that's close enough that people can be here and then drive to the ball game, because it's the Memphis game, I think. Apparently we're playing Memphis, so, and that's going to be a busy weekend. So any reason for that not to be on consent with anybody? Okay.
It'll be good to keep a crowd in town.
Yeah.
For an off weekend.
Yeah, it will be. It's going to actually be a busy weekend, because we've got that, and there's the Main Street, not Main Street, it's the Main Street, State Main Street something.
We're hosting.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. That'll be on that Thursday, so it'll be a fun weekend. And the tennis tournament, is that right? The tennis tournament. So it's going to be a heck of a weekend, and the chief says he's prepared. So. All right, thank you. All right, engineering, we've got a low quote for Maxwell Street sidewalk project.
Consent.
Thank you. Edward, anything you want to add to either one of these items?
Anybody has any questions about them?
Okay. Well, while we've got you, give us a brief update on the old West Point Road
Sure.
Bridge, please,
Yeah,
since
we're
that is
really working on
impactful.
it right
Yes.
now. Our goal is to try to get it back open today if possible. We just had some undermining in the southwest corner of that bridge, so kind of eating into one of the travel lanes. So we're gonna remove that, get it shored up, get traffic hopefully back open today. And then the contractor is supposed to be mobilizing in early mid-July to demolish the bridge and put in our new bridge. So when that occurs, obviously we'll have a much longer road closure. That's the goal.
Yeah, and it will have to be a road closure, because you can't do one side and then do the other side, so it will be a road closure. Do we have a projection, a week, 3 days,
A month.
a month?
When
That's
they're-
pessimistic.
While it'll be closed,
Yeah.
it'll be at least 2 months, maybe 3.
2 months? Okay, then.
And when will it start?
But it had to be
When's the
replaced.
anticipated date of the?
Well, the contractor told me it'd be early to mid-July, and I'll definitely brief the board when I have more information.
But I think folks ought to prepare themselves for
Oh,
the
yeah.
inconvenience.
This is
of
not
that.
just dropping something in, this then is a big,
Yeah,
full-blown.
we're moving the
Yeah.
bridge further south, so it's a channel realignment. It's a big project.
But this is growing, it's somewhere, it's
And the
necessary.
good thing about that location is it has good access. We're not gonna close Geared Road, it'll stay open, except for potentially when we have to repave that intersection and tie everything together. So, hopefully it won't be too much of an inconvenience.
And this is a project y'all have been working on for how long?
Year and a half,
Oh, okay.
or 2 years.
No, it's great, and this is what we got money for.
That's right.
From the state, so yeah, we're really pretty excited about it. It's
Well-
gonna be a good deal.
The fact that we closed the bridge 2 days to inspect, to know whether it's even safe to drive on right now, would indicate this thing needs to be replaced as soon as possible.
Mayor, can I also mention another road closure?
Sure.
We're planning on fixing all the utility cuts on North Montgomery on Monday, starting at 6 a.m. And that road closure will go through about mid-afternoon. And I'll send out a note to everybody, including the emergency service. So hopefully we'll be through with that project for the road listing.
And it appears the weather's gonna cooperate with that, we won't have to delay it?
Much better next week.
Okay, good, all right, thank you. Okay, claims docket, acceptance of May financials, we do consent on that one? Okay. Human resources, and Mr. Nav has decided not to take Friday off today, so he's joining us for his work on getting us some replacements for some folks, and the permit services technician is that new position that we authorized, so we have someone looking at that. Entry-level firefighters, and then maintenance workers for sanitation. Mr. Hunt is a driver in sanitation, and then a customer service rep in Starkville Utilities. Anyone have any reason not to have consent for any of those? Okay, do consent for those. Under parks,
Mayor?
yes, sir.
While we're on human resource, what about our sanitation?
He is, do we have an update?
He's scheduled to come in Monday.
He'll be in Monday. He's been ill, and so he should be in Monday morning. He's on the way, he's on the road. So he's moving and being ill all at the same time has created a delay, so he will be in Monday morning, so. All right, under parks, we have the tree service to remove 37 and grind 37 stumps and trim 45. And in the trimming, I see Alderman Walker's ears perked up over here. In the trimming, we've got, what, just trimming them up to keep the canopy up, or?
Yes, so there are a number of trees that have a number of dead limbs on it that are hazard either to lines, buildings, or walkways. We're trying to get those taken out. There are courts that have overgrown trees at McKee. We need to bring those back and make that a playable area. And then we want to bring some of them up a bit, so as we're grooming the fields and things like that, they're not going to be in the way and create a safety hazard. So the goal is to get them trimmed up and get the park safe so we don't have any little makers dropping on folks. Once we get them all trimmed up, we get all the dead ones removed, stumped out, we're going to go into an action plan to do some beautification moving forward. So.
Just all the parks, or is this just,
All of it.
this is
Yep.
all the different various
This
parks?
is everything that we could find at this point. We had found some additional trees that we thought were really good, but when we kind of cored them a bit, they're all dead in the inside, and it's just a matter of time before they're coming down. So we were going to do it. We tried to just do it all at once.
Have we worked with this group in the past?
This
Are they a
was
certified arborist group? Are they have all the insurance that they need to have, or is this, do they do work besides, is this the type of work that they've typically done, or are they primarily line trimmers that were having to come in and do arborist work?
So this was a group that was provided to me when I reached out to utilities and that. So Cody.
To answer your question, I do not know all the answers to that.
But I can get those answers for you.
I looked at trees in Moncrief Park that have been tagged for removal.
Yeah, so you'll see red ones, which are ones that we identify, we gotta make sure they're gonna go away. Yellow ribbons are ones that we want to trim up, and there's places to.
Red ones need to go. I
Yeah.
agree with
So over in Mine Creek, there's a few that are right over top of the wire lines. We need to look
Okay, this is not S&S though.
Yeah, and I think SNS does a fine job too. It's just making sure that, you get the right person for the right job. Certainly the dead trees are a no-brainer. Pulling out the dead limbs are a no-brainer and making the
Right.
park safe. What I would, I'm certainly fine with moving forward on this, but what I would certainly encourage is that both the Parks Director and you, Mayor, when they're getting ready to do some of the limbing up work,
Yeah.
let's monitor the first couple trees to make sure we're getting what we want before we turn them loose and say go do the rest of them. I think there should absolutely be some
Oversight?
some quality control
Yeah.
to make sure that the trim job that you're getting is what you're looking for.
And there is a big difference between taking it down and limbing it up.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And skill set.
So the big one for me would be over by McKee or around the basketball court. That one definitely needs to make sure we do that right. If we don't, that tree's gonna way out. But to your point.
Yeah. So
Test
fine.
drive.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with consent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just, I would say, I would certainly exercise some quality control when they're doing some of the initial arborist work and make sure that
Okay.
everybody's good
Well,
with
let's let
that.
that be the last thing they do. The cutting and the dead limbs are easy, but we'll let that limbing up be perhaps the last thing they do
Absolutely. We'll put a plan together so we know what they're doing
when they're doing it.
And then that way we can make sure we're supervising that correctly.
Okay, all right, cool, thank you. And the next item is the T&M steel erectors. This is, we had taken out a hood vent, and in discussions with SFM about the maximum utilization of Cornerstone Park. Mr. Sparks, if I say this incorrectly, you stand up and give me, because you're the expert on concessions, right? I believe when we were going through the analysis, he said that, the hood vent and the concession options that come with having that would pay for itself in 1 year. Am I accurate on that? Okay. because that allows you to do things that are ballpark things. So it gives you a chance to do the burgers and the fries and whatever else. So that was a convincing moment for me.
And to my recollection, even in the architectural plans, it was built to be able to stub out, to be able
Yes.
to do that, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I move consent.
Okay, all right, you good? Thank you. All right, under police, we have supervisors attending command training, and the chief has promised that he will be overseeing everybody while all his supervisors are gone, so.
Consent.
Consent for that, thank you. And then officer training, consent for that, thank you, okay. And then applying for 100% grant, youth violence prevention, that's a great, great program, consent for that. And then an 80-20 grant for justice cops hiring grant.
Consent.
Justice cops, is that right? Okay. Hiring, well, that's what I was going cops versus, yes,
And
so,
Mayor,
okay.
I got a copy of that grant yesterday afternoon,
Yes,
and it
ma'am.
also includes a confirmation from the city that these officers that are hired under this grant, the first, I believe, first 2 years, that the city will keep them employed, or those positions filled for the next, I believe it's a 2-year commitment.
Is that just us signing a contract that says that, or part of the grant
It's
is
part
for
of
us
the
to sign
grant
that?
is that you will
Okay,
keep them.
okay,
And they're at 100% by the
Okay.
city after that, those 2 officers.
yes, okay, all right, well,
We've done this before.
yes, we
haven't
have.
Yes.
Mhm, yeah, we have. Okay, and then we've got the lowest and best bid for Terry's 16169 KV primary, consent for that. Best bid for sub-control house for modular connections.
What is this, just upgrades or?
Yes, this is for the primary, you know, the
But not the
Southwest.
new one.
No, not the new ones. The new one's done, right, Terry? The new one's done.
And this is the last group, and we've got to make modifications. If the primary has been there for a long time. This switch house will be expanded, that's part of this, and then we're restructuring some foundations for that auto transformer. It cleans up a lot of the other problems we've had, but this will finish the main loop.
Okay, awesome, great, okay. Again, part of our progress toward the next 70 to 100 years. Okay, and then we have utilities crossing for KSC, a sanitary sewer line crossing for the Op Center. What is this, to authorization to, have we got the contract?
And I'm not sure we're gonna leave it, I'm trying to get back up with Kansas City, they're not called back, so we've got a question on the contract.
Well, it'll take you forever to look at it anyway, so let's just take it off and take pressure off on that one. Because even once you get it, I'm sure there'll be the back and forth that goes with that, so. And then we've got a 4-inch water meter set from Central Supply for Cornerstone for meter purchase and tap installation.
Consent.
Consent for that?
Fire protection.
All right.
I mean, not fire protection, that deals with.
Right, okay, all right. And then we will be getting a briefing from Mr. Latimer on all of our pending litigation in executive session, so. If there's nothing else, anybody?
Mayor, I want to recognize somebody in the room.
Inside of it.
that, Mr. Alan Pepper, who serves on our airport board. He also, his other life that I knew about that he doesn't talk about much, he retired as the head of the Southern Division, which is Southern United States, for the Safety Division of Kansas City Southern Railroad. And Mr. Pepper, if you don't mind, we've talked about rails to trails things and about this line from Ackerman up to West Point. You have a wealth of knowledge. You need the Kansas City system. I know they're in merger talks with the CP and the CN now. We don't know where that's going, who's going, how that'll shake out and stuff. But at some point in time, if we get together, start kind of talking about this kind of stuff, would you be willing to meet with us and share knowledge?
Well, now, after that lovely introduction, you know you're not gonna say no.
That's
Well, I mean, Alex walked.
On the spot.
Mr. Pepper's walking around more knowledge, and he's had about the Kansas City Southern Railroad system. Anybody probably retired state
I'm
Mississippi
sure
right now.
that-
So
I'm
Actually
sure.
have a meeting with Mike Taggart this
I remember
afternoon.
Mike, Mr. Haverty's, he retired, right?
He has.
But, anyway, glad to have you. We've been asked to start going forward on that.
Absolutely, and we appreciate you stepping in for the
Yes.
Airport, so thank you very much, I appreciate that, so. All right, well, that being said, I believe we're done, we will be having our meeting
Go
on
Dogs.
Tuesday, go Dogs, that's right, we've got a big
Absolutely.
weekend, super regional this weekend, so, Hale State, go Dogs, and, y'all have a great weekend, thank you, everyone.